Hi, welcome to ISE305 Database Design and Practice. This is summer of 2025 and I am your instructor Praveen. So in this very first lecture, it will be about the course logistics where I'll tell you how this course will be delivered and other related information like course contents, grading criteria and all that. So let me start with the delivery mode. So this course is being taught online, and in online this is being delivered in asynchronous manner, which means that we won't have any fixed time for lecture. I will be recording my lecture as I am doing right now, and the recording of this lecture would be delivered to you through the link on Brightspace. So I will upload this lecture and the remaining lectures on YouTube, and I will be providing the link to these recordings of my video lectures through the Brightspace. So in the course, what are the course materials? So in the course material, you'll have the lecture slides, which you can consider as your lecture notes also. So this slide that I'm using here for this video, I will be sharing that with you on Brightspace along with the link to this recording. So in the course material, you're getting lecture slides, you will be getting the link to the lecture videos, you will have the homework assignments in the course, and that would also be uploaded on the Brightspace, and you will have to finish your homework and upload your homework on the Brightspace too. Similarly, we have a project as well, so the project information will also be available on Brightspace. You will have to upload the project related deliverables on Brightspace too. So all these things which are the course material, course content, they will all be posted on Brightspace. So Brightspace is going to be our learning management system for this course. So here the next bullet is about video lectures. They will be uploaded on YouTube. So about myself, the instructor, I am Praveen. My last name is Tripathi. I'm holding my office hours and those are on Zoom, and this is going to be synchronous. So for synchronous, there's a fixed time. Therefore, my office hours are synchronous. I am holding that on Zoom. So today I did my first office hours. So the office hours are going to be on Tuesday and Thursday, starting at 11:30 a.m. and will end at 1 p.m. And this is the New York time. If you are available during my office hours, then I'll request you to join me in case you have some questions related to the course. If you are busy around my office hours around this time, but want to talk to me, then you can request for an appointment and I'll be happy to accommodate your request. For communication, if you want to reach out to me, I prefer this email, which is praveen@cs.stonybrook.edu. You should write the email to this. You should reach out to me on this email. Or if you want, you can also use my Stony Brook email, which is praveen.tripathi@stonybrook.edu. Now let me tell you about the exams. So these are tentative dates, right? So let me write tentative here, because being an online class and also the reason that I will be traveling. So for these two tests, the probability I would say would be 70%. I will let you people know if there is any change in the schedule for exams, but for the time being, let's look at these dates. Quiz 1 is on Thursday, which is 6th of June. Sorry, this is 5th of June 2025. That is Thursday, and it will be from 8:30 p.m. to 9:25 p.m. This is New York time. The midterm exam, we have only one midterm exam, is scheduled on 12th of June 2025. That's Thursday again, and that will start at 8:30 p.m. and will get over at 10:50 p.m. quiz 2 is scheduled on 19th of June, which is Thursday again, and quiz 2 will start at 8:30 p.m. will get over at 9:25 p.m. The final test is scheduled on 27th of June, that's Friday, from 8:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. So you must have noticed the duration. So for midterm exam, you're getting 1 hour and 30 minutes. For the final exam, you're getting 2 hours. Whereas for quiz 1 and quiz 2, you won't be getting a 1 hour. You'll be getting less than 1 hour. Okay, the reason being that quizzes are going to be short, straightforward, simple tests. Now here, let me go over this thing that I skipped, which is about the mode, like how would you appear in the exam. The exams are also going to be online, but for that online exam, you'll have to use a lockdown browser, which is Respondus lockdown browser. And I will be sharing with you the information about installation of a lockdown browser and how to use this Respondus lockdown browser. You must have a monitor on with your computer. So that is a requirement for the test. We will be using this monitor to proctor the exam. And for this monitor, the requirement is that you should have a camera. So if you are using a laptop, then I'm confident that the laptop that you'd be using must be having a working integrated camera. If that is not the case, then please look at it. Make sure that before these exams, you have a working camera with you. If you're using a desktop machine, then I would guess that for the desktop machine, you may have to get an external camera. But yes, camera is required because this monitor component of Respondus that we use for proctoring would need the access to the camera. And the course has a course project, and for course project towards the end I would require you to provide the project demonstration, and the demonstration dates the demonstration will start from 24th of June and it will continue till 1st of July. So I will be providing a sign up sheet, and in the sign up sheet the team should sign up for project. So I have given you the hint, and I'll have more slides dedicated to project. But let me tell you this interesting thing about project, which is the fact that it can be done in a team. So the team should sign up. I will be sharing the sign up sheet for you people. Okay, so let's look at the class, like what is this ISE305 all about. It's a database course, but it's a very much hands-on class. So during my videos, you will find that I will have some slides which will be titled as Are We on Track? So in Are We on Track, I will be doing some demo. So those are in fact the exercises that you should do yourself. So you would find that I will be doing Are We on Track exercises for you people, just in case you're stuck on those. But I would recommend that when you reach to Are We on Track, you should pause the video and should do those exercises yourself. So I skipped the second bullet, right? So let me go to the second bullet. I covered the first and third bullet because the first bullet says that it is a hands-on class. Okay, and then you will have are we on track exercises that the students are supposed to be doing. But before that, in the second bullet, it is about in-class example, which means that in the lecture will be full of the demo. My video recordings you'll find that I'll be working on a lot of stuff, like I'll be writing SQL queries, I'll be designing RDMs. You will know about RDMs and SQL in the course itself. I'm not going to discuss much about RDM and SQL in this lecture, just mentioning these things, and these are very important. So yeah, during my lecture, you would find me working on RDM, writing SQL queries, and you'll be required to do these exercises. Are we on track exercises, right? So these three things that you have These three bullets are emphasizing this fact about the class, which is a hands-on class. Well, the software that we are going to use is MS Access. Okay, so this should be available on your computer if you're using a Windows machine, and then I would assume that this is available. If not, then reach out to me. I'll see how I can help you. But one interesting thing about MS Access is that it is available only for Windows machines. So if you're using non-Windows machine, like you're using Linux, if your machine is a Linux machine or a Mac machine, then you will have to use the virtual sync site. Okay, so for virtual sync site, the link is provided over here. I will see if I can share more. Maybe I think I have a lecture that I can share with you where I'm walking through the different steps which are required to access virtual sync site. So yeah, if you have a Windows machine, then MS Access will be available on your computer. I will also be using MySQL Workbench, and MySQL Workbench is very simple to install, so this should not be a problem. Doesn't matter whichever operating system you're using, you will be able to install MySQL. I'll be sharing with you a YouTube link which will guide you through the process of installing MySQL. So here, this box is very important. So let me read that box. So in order to succeed, for succeeding or doing well in ISE 305, it's required that you do the exercises, right? So working exercises during and after the class session is critical to your success, right? So make sure that you understand this very, very important message. Well, we do have a textbook, although it is not required. If you want, you can get this textbook, but I believe my lecture notes and the video recordings are going to be enough for this course. But yes, if you're interested, you can get this textbook, which is Data Management by Richard T. Watson. Okay, so for class information, you should be regularly checking the Brightspace. The syllabus is already posted over there, and in the syllabus you will have my office hours information. You'll have my email address there, and on the Brightspace I will be posting the assignments. I'll be posting the lecture videos and all that. Class notes, which are the lecture slides, I'll be providing over there. So all the stuff related with the course would be available on Brightspace, including the exams and the quizzes. So now let's look at this course. Like, what is the purpose of ISE 305? Why should a student with IS major take this course? So this course, which is a database course, will help the student in understanding the use of databases in information systems. So in order to understand this bullet, you should know what is an information system. Probably you already know what is an information system. If not, then let me help you out with an example of information systems. So most probably the apps that you're using on your phone are most of those would be example of the information system. As an example, let's say if you're using if you're buying some stuff on Amazon.com, right? So I'll consider that as an example of an information system. So now let's look at what an information system is. So I would consider any application that is systematically storing the data, processing the data, and providing the data to the user in a properly formatted way. Then that will be considered as an information system. So by successfully completing this ISE 305, you will have a very good understanding of how the databases are integrated in information systems. So the information system again should be an app which is taking care of properly storing the data, um, processing the data, and retrieving the data. Excuse me. So yeah, here it's a hands-on course, so you will gain the hands-on experience with the small or to medium size database, and you will be designing a GUI or GUI you may call at the front end, and this whole thing will happen in your course project. During the through the lectures and the homeworks, I will prepare you to I will prepare you in such a way that you are able to develop your project, and the project will should demonstrate your the skills that you have learned uh, through my lectures. Okay, so yeah, you will be designing a project, and that will give you a good experience in designing a small to medium sized database, and you will be designing a GUI as well, and all this thing will happen in MS Access. Okay, so while doing it through my lectures and also through the project, you will be able to learn about the issues which are involved in the enterprise style systems. So in this whole course, we will be going over the different stages involved in designing a database system. So we will start with the translation of the requirement into the database. So all these things that we have here, like the emphasis on translating requirements into database, this will be uh, addressed in your project, right? So when you'll be working on the project, you will understand what we mean by translating requirements to the database. Now, during the course, we will be doing a lot of SQL. I will be giving you some exercises to design RDM. So RDM stands for Relational Data Model, that serves as a roadmap or maybe blueprint, you can call it, to design your database. So we will discuss SQL, we will discuss RDM, we will discuss about the concepts like entities, relationships, and so on. But the other important thing, which is the database performance, we will not be studying too much in there, right? So that's what this bullet is saying. It says that limited emphasis is given on DB performance. Okay, although we will learn about normalization, that is also considered as a means to judge the performance of the database, but not too much. So we'll be rather light on database performance. So similar thing is about course objectives. So the student who is successfully completing ISE305 will be familiar with the ways in which the databases interact with the information systems. We have already discussed something like this. You will develop the skills in entity modeling. Yeah, so entity and its modeling, we will start that very soon, probably then in next to next lecture or so. We will start discussing what is an entity, how do we model, and why are they important in a database project. You will learn substantial part of SQL. So I'm pretty sure that more than 35% of our time will be spent in learning about SQL itself. It is so vast and so important. You will gain hands-on experience with MS Access. All my demos in the lecture are based on MS Access. You will also gain some hands-on experience with MySQL Workbench. But the SQL statements that you'll be learning in MS Access, you can try those on MySQL. I'm pretty sure that more than 90% of the time the statements will run as it is in MySQL. So about grading, no surprise, you will be getting the same grades as you'd get in any other course, A minus, B plus, and your grades will be based on the exams. In the exams include midterm exam, final exam, as well as quizzes. We have the assignments, we have the projects, so the quizzes are listed over here. Now the exam questions will be easy if you have carefully completed the assignments. And I should also add one more thing, that if you know the lecture contents, right? So the exams, which include quizzes as well as the midterm and final exam, they are easy if you are paying attention to what we are doing in the lectures, and also if you are successfully completing the assignments. And all the grading information will be available on practice space. And the grade distribution, as I said, would resemble college overall grade distribution, right? So no surprises over here. Now, since there are different components for grading, so let's look at the formula that we'll be using. So your final grades are calculated based on a formula. So the formula will have different weights. So look at here. This will give you the complete idea about how I will be calculating your grade. So the midterm exam will account for 20% of your grade. Final would be 25%. The project, which is the largest component, will account for 35%. Quizzes are going to be 6%, and the homeworks are going to be 14%. Now about the submission for assignments, so that includes the project as well. No late submission is accepted, right? So please remember this thing. No late submission is allowed. So please plan ahead of time. Don't wait for the last moment, because if you are late even by few hours, you will not be given any credit. Quiz questions will be taken primarily from our lecture, the textbook. If you have, great. Otherwise, it's the lecture material. So the quiz questions are going to be straightforward based on the contents from the lecture slides. So final grade is based on your total score in all the grade components, right? Based on this formula over here. Now, the higher the score, the higher is going to be your grade. Higher means A is higher than A minus, yeah, and then B plus. That's what we mean here. So for assignment, you should submit the assignments on practice space. So we will have some partial credits. So to receive the credit, you must make a reasonable effort. So you should try writing the SQL code if the homework is on SQL. So make sure that the syntax is correct. Make sure, I would say that you should target 100%. But if you're not sure about the complete solution, then at least make some attempt. Okay, so that's what this bullet says. To receive credit, there must be reasonable attempt. And at minimum, SQL code must use the correct syntax. The assignment must be done individually. You need to be very, very careful over here. You should not get into this trap of academic dishonesty, which will be a bad news. Assignment must be done individually, and group work is not accepted. I hope this message is reaching out to you people. Assignments will be graded and you will get the feedback. If I'm deducting the points, I will tell you why I'm taking your points off. You should submit on time, because if you do not submit on time, then yes, you will not get credit for the assignments. Components of the assignment problem will be used in the exams. Therefore, you should do your assignment yourself. Now guys, here very, very important information, which is about academic integrity. So please make sure that you understand what is academic integrity, what academic integrity rules do we follow. So we follow the university rules, which you can find in the link over here. All your work should be your own, with the exception of citing reference to the information in your project. So when we let me explain this thing to you here. What do we mean by citing reference? So if for the project, let's say you're designing your database project which is using movie data. Okay, so for that movie data, you may be getting the actual data from IMDb. If that is the case, then in your project document, you should cite the resource. You should say that yes, I am getting the data from IMDb. Right? So that's what we mean over here. So I took the example of movie. Your project could be based on any other topic, right? Could be, say, based on books. If that's the case, and you want to keep, if you want to store the real data about books, then yeah, you should cite. You should tell that what was the source of your data. If your data is, synthetically manufactured, then that's okay. If you're getting a real data, then yeah, for real data, you should cite the resource. Okay, guys, now let's look at the project, which is a very important component of this course. There's one major project in the course. The project covers most of the important concepts which will be covered in the course. And in the project, you will be designing a database. And interesting thing is that I will ask you people to come up with the project topic. So your project will be on a topic which is of interest to you. So I will not provide any topic. So if you are a person who loves music, then yeah, you can pick music as the topic of your project. If you're a sports person who loves basketball, then yes, your database could be about something related with basketball. So you will have to design a database and will have to develop and implement in MS Access or in MySQL. So your database should have 5 to 10 entities. So this is how we will evaluate, how I will evaluate whether your project was too simple or medium size or complex. I will count the number of entities. What are entities? We will learn that very soon. So what will happen in your project? There will be presentations, and I'll be taking your presentation during my office hours on Zoom. So the presentations will be for the RDM, which is the design part. That's the first presentation. And then there will be a final presentation, which will be your project demonstration. So you should be ready to have presentations. There are going to be 2 presentations. These are all going to be on Zoom. I'll make announcements. I'll also provide the sign up. In your project, you should be able to import large amount of data because it's a database project. So if you're worried about presentation, then in each presentation I will assign 20 minutes per team. So during the presentation, this is the final project presentation, you will have to present your project, and you will also have to demonstrate the operation of your project. So you should be able to run the SQL queries. You should be able to show how your GUI is working, right? So, and I'll provide you more details before the presentation. So you'll have to structure your project presentation as an oral exam. So that will happen in office hours. Okay. Now, project steps. The details will be provided on the Brightspace by mid-semester. So expect it to be around 15th of June or maybe the next week, right? So you need to be concerned about project around that time by mid-semester. You'll have to pick up your topic, and once you pick the topic, and if you decide to work in the team, once you have formed the team, then I'll say, okay, fine, guys, you know what, I'll say that you need to provide a statement of your database project. Like if you're working on music, then I'll ask you to write 1 or 2 paragraph explaining what your project is going to be all about. It's going to be the English statements. After those statements, the next thing that I would like you people to submit is going to be the RDM, and this is to be graded. This part, which is the statement, it's not graded, but even then you will be required to submit one. The RDM will be graded, so this is going to be important. So what will happen in the first presentation where you will be presenting your RDM, I will be giving you some feedbacks. So if I'm providing you some feedbacks, I would like you to revise your proposed RDM. Okay, so you'll have to revise your proposed project RDM according to the feedback that you will receive at this stage. And then if your once your RDM is approved, you will have to now implement your project, which means you'll have to create the tables corresponding to different entities and the relationships if required for the RDM that you have. Then finally, here will come the GUI part. And for GUI, you will have to create simple forms to enter and modify data in your project. In your project, you will also have to come up with at least 5 interesting questions that a user may like to ask on your database. These are again something that you need to pick. You need to pick 5 interesting questions that a user may be interested in firing on your database. Then we have the GUI part, which would require you to create at least 2 hierarchical forms. Now, if you're wondering like what are these forms and all, so don't worry, I will share with you the information which will help you out in drawing the hierarchical forms and the simple forms. You'll have to create at least one report for your database. So the report that I'm mentioning here is again the GUI component. It's not the simple report that we talk about in our day-to-day life. It is a report which is related with MS Access. It's a tool which is used by MS Access to retrieve the data in a well-formatted way. So the sign up sheet will be available from there. You'll have to pick up a time and you will have your project ready for presentation. And it is always advisable that you should sign up early so that you do get the slot. Now here, these 5 interesting queries are to be thought about in English, but as you would figure out very soon that for the database, it has its language too, which is SQL. We'll learn about this SQL language. So all these 5 interesting questions that you thought about in the first bullet, they need to be implemented. And for that, you will have to use SQL, right? So you need to add at least 5 queries in your database to answer interesting questions that you came up with over here. Now, how are we going to develop this whole project? What software do we need? Well, MS Access will be used heavily. Okay, so initially I will be using MS Access. I will also use MySQL Workbench, but yes, most of my demo that you will see would be using MS Access. Now, if you have the Windows machine and you don't have MS Access installed, then yeah, you can go to this link that I have over here and can install the MS Access from this link. So that comes under the Dream Spark. Okay. Now we will be using MS Access to design RDM. You can also design RDM using MySQL Workbench. We will discuss these things, right? So for RDM, I'll have at least one lecture where I'll tell you how to draw these things. And these are very important. So if I correctly remember, out of 35% for your project, 15% is for RDM. The remaining is for the other components. Okay, so here the RDM diagrams can be developed using any available tool. But SQL Workbench is preferred because it is simpler to do that, and the RDM that you draw using MySQL, they are much better than the ones that you'll be creating using MS Access. So you should, if you need help, then how should you reach out to me for the help? Don't get stuck on the problems. You should ask for help. Should send me an email if you're having trouble. I would request you to join me in my office hours. Okay, so I have shared the office hours information, so you should have registered. If not, then please register and join me in my office hours. If you're busy around my office hours time, then please send me an email for appointment. I'll try my best to accommodate you. One thing which students often ignore in their email is that they do not mention the course name. Please do that. When you're writing an email, then do include ISE 305 in your subject line so that I will be able to understand that your query is from ISE 305. Now, how should you approach this course? How to learn the material? Well, the most important message is that don't plan on memorizing material. Plan on learning to think about the material. You should work. Working problems is an important way to learn the material. Okay, so database, which is a computer science subject, right? So it's a bad idea to plan on memorizing. Please do not memorize. Okay, that's a bad idea. It's conceptual, very very conceptual. You should just watch the recordings, should go over the lecture slides, and then you should be doing all the exercises that are there on in the section Are We on Track, and also those queries that I will be doing myself during the videos. Please try to do those things yourself. And yeah, you should plan on learning, not on memorizing. And how? Think about what we are doing, right? It's very interesting subject. You should plan on equal time spent reading the text notes and working on hands-on exercise. Please do the assignments on the bright space because you'll get credit for that. And you should also understand what the assignment is asking and how you should solve those problems. Read the material in advance. Now, work on assignments in small group, one for four students. So you should be careful about it, right? When I'm saying work on assignments, then that simply means that if you don't understand what is being asked, you can discuss. But you should not share the solutions. You should not share the homework or the code. Okay, what you submit should be your own work. You're not supposed to share the solution of the assignments. But you can discuss the general concepts related with the assignment. Watch the video lectures, read the lecture slides, review the online class notes, right? This is how you can learn the material. Lecture slides and video links will be available on the Brightspace. Be sure to review all these things before each exam. These things means the lecture slides and the video lecture. Alright, so this much I had for my first lecture. I will be sharing with you more contents, and if you have any questions, please do join me in my office hours or send me the email. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next lecture.